welcome to the Backyard Machine Shop. Today, guys, we're going to start out on our new project. And our new project is going to be the John Doe shaper. And the reason I'm calling it the John Doe shaper is because I haven't been able to identify it yet. It does have a badge on it, and I'll get to that in a little while, but so far I don't know who the manufacturer is. Now, what I have done is I went through Kenneth Cope's American Planer, Shaper, and Slaughter book and tried to find a picture of, try to identify it through that. There was a lot of planer and shaper makers in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Well, the closest I've come, Lodge made one that was very similar, but there's a few little differences, so I really can't pinpoint who the manufacturer was. So we're just going to go with John Doe right now. If you remember this shaper, this is the shaper that came from the Machine Rescue Series, January of 2017. This is the machine that's set in the field along with the Marvel hacksaw, the New Haven lathe, and there's another hacksaw and I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, they had set in the field for 40 years, and I went there and made the man an offer, and he actually sold me the machines. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring these machines back to life. So we've already brought the Marvel hacksaw back to life. You've seen that in several videos, including the Harbor Freight bandsaw challenge and a couple other videos. All I did with that machine is just greased it up, put a motor on it, wired it up, put a vise on it, and started cutting material with it. And that was good. And one of these days maybe I'll go back and redo this machine. But however, this shaper I'm planning on doing a full-blown restoration on it. And that means going in and making it just like new. So that's going to take a lot of work. Now, I'll date this machine. Let's get back to the badge. There is a badge on it. The badge is for SC Forsyth and Machine Company. Now, what SC Forsyth Machine Company was, as far as I can tell, they were a reseller of machines. They did make some woodworking machines and some saw blades, things like that in their foundry. However, most of their machines, especially towards the 1870s, 1880s, they would buy used machinery, rebadge it, or buy from manufacturers, kind of like Craftsman does for Sears and things like that. They're not really a maker of machines, but they're a distributor of machines, and they put their names on them. So Forsyth was in business from 1860 to 1900. Now, 1860 to 1869, they pretty much made the woodworking machines, and so they weren't really dabbling into the metalworking machines. Now, there's some ads found from 1870 to 1900 where they did include an inventory of milling machines or metalworking type machines. Some bolt or screw machines and shapers and planers and things of that nature. So to me, since one SC Forsyth went out of business around 1900 and their prime of their business was in the 1870s, 1880s, I'm going to date this machine at about 1880. So that gives it 137 years old. And what's remarkable is every piece of it is still here. There's nothing that I can see missing. Nothing's broken except for this handle had been broken and this handle had been broken, but they've both been repaired. Other than that, the machine looks to be in good shape as far as the gears. You can look down inside the machine. There's a big bull gear, and we'll get to that later. And then on this shaft, there's a pinion gear that drives the big bull gear. They're covered in grease. They're just like they were probably 100 years ago. Now the grease has dried up a little bit, but they are in good shape. They're not worn. They're not broken. The feed mechanism all is here. It still works. It's free. The clutch, still runs up and down. All of that is still here. Now, being a little rusty, probably a little difficult to clean up, but we will get it cleaned up. One of the things that was bothering me about this machine was since it had been sitting out there, it's got square ways on it. Anyway, one of the things that I was worried about with this machine as being sitting outside was, one, it was stuck. I'd freed up a lot of the stuff, but I couldn't free up the ram. And I was just playing with the pulley, not really trying very hard. But still, it wouldn't break loose like some of the other stuff did. So I've already pulled the covers off because I was going to determine whether or not we were actually going to work on this machine or try to figure out something else, make it an ornamental piece. But when I pulled the weight covers off, it underneath, from what I see so far, is still in really good shape. So far so good. So plan to move forward. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to pull the ram off, and we probably need to take a couple of things off here to get to the ram. But I'm going to bring you over and let you see the ways what we have right now, and then we're going to proceed to start tearing this machine down. So hold on, I'm going to bring the camera over. All right, so there's the ways. Now the last foot or so was exposed, is still kind of rusty, but underneath the weight cover on both sides look just about like that. If you look, there's a gib right here. This is what adjusts here's a gib right here, and that's what adjusts takes up your slack in your on your ram. Okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna gather up some wrenches, and we're gonna take. The first thing we're gonna do is probably take. Now the way I like doing my tear downs is I tear everything down and try to keep it in a small grouping. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the compound off, take that off, and then we're going to remove the ram. So I need to get a wrench. Looks like it's about 1 inch, and I'll be right back. All right, guys. So I haven't put anything on these bolts yet. I might need to spray them with some liquid wrench. Or some PB Blaster. Let's see if it's going to come off. Got the compound off of it. I thought it was some wear, but what it is there's some chip built up underneath it, and it should scratch right off. Yeah, so good. So far, so good. Still no markings though. Now we're going to remove the ram, and basically what I've got here, there's a rod. I'll take this handle off, or at least. So we're unscrewing the lead screw in here, and basically it should come free, I hope. There we go. Now we should be able to lift. This lead screw out. Well, let's take the gib out first. beat up a little bit. I'll have to make a new screw for it. Some of the screws up top have been beat up a little bit too. Let's see those come out now. Here we go. Maybe I can pick this up. May have to have some help on this one. Alright, let's see what I got here. Yep, she looks really good, guys. It's amazing that after all those years out in the field, that see how stable that is. Yep, looks good. Oh, cool. There's an access point, a couple of nuts back there that you take off, and this whole door will come off. That's good. Then you can get to everything in there. All right. All right, so let's clean these up a little bit. Got our friend carburetor cleaner. This machine looks really good shape. There's the anchor give. Yep. Alright guys, so you can see it. You see me spray. All I have sprayed on it was a little bit of little pecan right there from a little rat or something. All I had done was sprayed a little bit of carburetor cleaner on it. Now you can take some Scotch-Brite and it'll probably clean right up. Anyway, the underside of the ram's in amazing shape. I don't see any issues at all with this machine going forward. So let's keep on. I'm going to let this down. I don't want it to fall. Guys, I hope you can see that pretty good. Same here. Put a little carb cleaner in there. A little Scotch-Brite it out. Let me back this one screw out before it cuts me. Ah, there's the pin. That's gonna have to be hammered back out. Put a little bit of this nasty stuff here, and just clean these ways up. There we go. Clean right on up. Yeah, no problems, man. This is gonna be nice. One of the things I'm doing now is I'm fixing to take the vise off. Now this thing got a little unstable. I was having to put a lot of torque on it, so we're going to. I put the pallet jack back up underneath it and got on its outer edge. I need to be able to move it anyway. Guess it would help if I go the right way. And this vise has only got one single bolt. Now guys, excuse me, I said this machine still had everything. It still has the vise handle, the vise wrench. So it still has everything on it, even a piece of tool steel. Alright, let's see how heavy this thing is. There's no other bolts. Let me get a pry bar. I have a feeling this is going to be a... Yep. So we've managed to get the table off, the vise off. They're in very good shape. You know, the table was keyed in. Anyways, it's coming apart nicely. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna run down to the store and get some breakfast, and we'll be back afterwards. All right, guys and gals. So we've, like I said, we've removed the table, removed the vise. Vise was just held on. I'll show it to you later. It's held on with a pin. One bolt. Table is keyed to your ways here. Looks like it's adjustable, however you want it to work. Now, you can drop it down, but you can't rotate it. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this off. Now this has got it's got a nut right here that runs on that screw. And then it's got a give on the top, and I thought I'd seen, yeah, and there's a couple of bolts at the bottom. So we're going to loosen those bolts. Looks like it's about a 3/8 or 5/16, maybe metric. Let's see if that's it right there. Yep, that's tightening. All right, take this one loose. That's the only adjustment I see on the gib. So should be able to take these two out, or at least almost all the way out. And let's see. Sometimes you got to break these loose, but I already checked this one. It was easy to come out. I'm hoping that releases that nut back there. Okay. All right. Let's clean up. You get a putty knife and let's clean that up a little bit. Here too, I might just take a vacuum and now the whole goal is to slide this off. I think that's how it's going to come off. Let me get a vacuum and hook up. I don't think it's going to need it, guys. I think it's going to come right off. All right, let's find a place to go with it. Go right there. Yep, there's a give here and a give here. All right. Let's get that vacuum going. Let's see. Got a crank handle here. Well, I was gonna run it back and forth, but it's still a little bit stiff. Okay. Then we got a level gear set down here. I know for a fact that this is the only thing I know that wasn't working. So the pin in this gear, whatever holds that gear on, is stripped because it's not turning the screw. All right, so what we need to do now is get this loose. It's like there's 6 bolts that hold it. Like they're maybe 3/4 inch. And all right, so we got one square bolt, and we're just going to back these off until we see what it's going to do. Okay, a ratchet. Ah, there's some water coming out there. First time I've seen water. Let's go ahead and take all of the one out. So that's loose. Okay, we need to problem is that bevel gear. Apparently this bevel gear, I don't see how it attaches yet. Alright, it's got a little pin in it right here. Alright, so this bevel gear had a pin and it's broke. So I was wondering how I was going to get this apart. But basically, there was enough friction there after I loosened the gibs up that it allowed it to screw itself down. And so now we can pull the ways off. And All right, I don't know how much we got of that. We stopped. Anyway, we got it apart. So looks like it's going to be pretty stationary. I don't want to touch that stuff. Looking pretty good. Let's wheel our little cart back over here. About that, we got some original paint on this piece. For the most part, it's the table and its mechanisms have been taken apart. Now it's time to open up this little trap door here, and we're going to kind of look at it and try to figure out how to get it apart. So I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'll come back later with it. All right, guys, we got it all apart, all except for the pinion shaft and the because mainly we can't get the cone pulley off. What I'm going to do, I've tried pulling it off and I can't pull it. I hadn't put any heat on it, but I'm going to roll the machine over and set it up to where I can just fill this up with PB Blaster for a day or two while I'm doing other stuff. But anyway, I'm sorry I didn't have any video of it coming apart. That was a lot of trial and error, but I figured it out. And what we have to do, well, the whole setup here to get out is this bullet gear. And this bullet gear on the back of it drives an eccentric, which is adjustable, and this little guide goes on it. Well, this guide fits in this arm here, and this arm goes in there, and this is what drives your shaper back and forth. Okay. All right, so to get this apart, it didn't come apart like you thought it would, but to get it apart, you had to take this little shaft. You know, this shaft goes into the bottom of your drive arm, and it comes through the machine down here in the bottom, and it actually drives your strokometer, if you want to call it that. There's a little gauge on the front that when you adjust your stroke, it lets you know how far it's going to stroke. But once that come out, once this pin come out, this piece will drop down, and you can get it off of its guide and get it out of the machine. And once you do that, then you pull this bearing off the front. There's a couple of shafts mated there that this bearing rides in. Now, this is one bearing that I would hate to have to buy. It's huge. It's all brass or bronze, and it's in good shape. So that bearing slides off the front, and once it slides off the front, then the shaft will come out the back. So it was relatively easy once you figured it out, but it took me a little while to figure it out. All in all, so far everything's in good shape. I do have some water damage on a couple of the shafts. I think they'll clean up with some emery cloth though, pretty good. And I'm not really worried about that. The eccentric, or the arm here is in good shape. You know, other than not being able to get the cone pulley off, it came apart relatively easy. Okay, next. Like I said, I'm going to roll this over on its side, fill up the cone pulley with some rust buster or whatever you want to call it, and let it sit for a couple of days. Other than that, everything came apart good. Now it's the part of the build where you take each part and you start taking it apart and go from there. Now one of the things with this cone pulley is it had a hole in it like normal where you go in and you put in a set screw, and you know, and drives it. Well, this one had a taper pin in it, and the taper pin was made out of a bolt, and it's a tapered bolt, but there was no way to drive it. It was, here, I'll let you see it. I don't know if they made it. There's no way to drive that out, okay, or pull it out. I mean, I've seen the taper where they'll screw in and pull in the taper. I've seen that before, but this one had no way to drive it. So what I ended up having to do is I went 180 degrees on the pulley, and I had to drill myself a hole, and then went in there with a punch and knocked it out, and it came out just like a taper pin would. So it was not threaded. You can look at the threads and see that it wasn't threaded. You can see where I had to hit it, and I'd come off of it a little bit, but anyway, it knocked right on through. So apparently either somebody had worked on it one time before and put this in there, or this is the way it came from the manufacturer. I don't think anybody's ever worked on it, because there was no way, unless the other side had been tapped originally and they went in some way and drilled through and drove this in there. So that was one of the little things that was kicking my butt, but still I've not been able to get this off. All right, guys, I guess that's a wrap. This machine is nasty. I mean, everywhere I turn, I've turned dark. Hands, it doesn't look like it's got that much oil in it, but just grease everywhere. So again, that's a wrap with this video. It's the first video about the shaper. Hope you enjoy it, and hope you come back and watch the rest of them. And you know, plan on doing this as fast as I can and what time I'll allow. So guys, I want to thank you guys for watching first and foremost. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for leaving the comments. The comments are great. I'm always looking at the comments, and I try to answer every one of them. Sometimes it takes me a couple of days, but I try to get them all. So with all that said, guys, so long.